Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. I'm Finn McDermott and here are your top stories on Friday, the 20th of June. Baby Bank, Thanet family support charity, sees donations destroyed after warehouse floods. Handling the heat, we speak to Kent Fire and Rescue Service about how you can stay safe during this summer weather. And highly commended, some of KMTV's best documentaries and specials were shortlisted for the Kent Press and Broadcast Awards. We'll take a look at them in the show. But first tonight, baby banks across the country provide struggling families with donated items to help with the cost of raising children. The only baby bank in Thanet was recently hit by a devastating flood that meant a lot of the items had to be thrown away. And with more people than ever accessing the service, they say it's interrupted their normal flow of donations. To find out more, I went down to the warehouse where they keep the items.
All of our stock that was on the floor that had been damaged and contaminated, and what were we going to do to replace that, because it's months, probably years worth of sorting, cleaning and donations being given to us.
Multiple cots, high chairs and prams, all donated to help struggling families, were completely ruined after a surprise flood had hit the Thanet warehouse, where Mama to Mama, the only baby bank in the district, keep their items. And it couldn't have come at a more difficult time.
So yeah, the last 3 months we've had a 40% increase in referrals, and we'd had a flurry of donations. So we had clothing, we had cots. We're running a bed poverty campaign at the moment because we've been so short of cots and families are needing beds for when their children go out of side beds. They were all on the floor, ready to be put away, and they were all destroyed. So they've all been written off as contaminated. So for us it's a tricky time because the big ticket items, the prams, the cots, they're difficult to get hold of because people hold on to them for a long time. So this is where we're struggling now, because we've got a backup of families already waiting for cots, and the ones that were ready to go have now been destroyed.
Now, Mama to Mama is in fact the only baby bank that serves Thanet, one of the most deprived areas of the county, and families rely on the service heavily, whether or not they've been rehomed or simply struggle with their finances. With the cost of living crisis raising prices, cots and prams can be especially hard for struggling families to come by. And it's also rarer to see them donated, meaning when Mama to Mama lost plenty of their cots, it hit them quite hard.
So there's a lot of families, in need of Mama to Mama and the service they offer. So I think one thing that Jane's noticed as CEO of the organisation is how, there would be a time when we would be giving the care packages maybe to just mums, families that might be out of work, but now we're finding increasingly with the cost of living crisis, you might have two parents working and they're really struggling to provide everything they need.
Mama to Mama say the flood caused an interruption to their normal flow of donations, but they're concerned that it could happen again.
We need funding now to get additional racking, so we want to ensure everything's off the floor, because there's nothing wrong with the building, but we can't risk another flash flood where it could happen again, and there's no guarantee that it isn't going to happen.
Until they can get that additional funding, Thanet's only baby bank hope that their warehouse can stay dry and their donated items can continue to go to the families who need it the most. Finn McDermott for KMTV in Thanet. Now, an amber heat health alert has been announced for Kent as forecasts predict temperatures could reach 34 degrees in some places by the weekend. And while many will be heading to the beach or lighting up the barbecue, the heat does bring serious safety concerns, from accidental fires to the dangers of swimming in open water. To find out how to stay safe, I spoke with James Kirk from Kent Fire and Rescue Service. Now, with this heat on the horizon, how can people make sure that they're staying safe while having some classic summer activities like barbecues or bonfires?
It's a really good question, and with the warmer weather here, we want to make sure people are having fun and but staying safe. So the warmer weather, drier grounds, we see sort of an increase in fires out in the open. And we're just sort of saying to people, really, if we are going to have those barbecues, we want, people to have fun, but we want to be able to say, look, make sure it's positioned safely. We're not leaving it unattended. Positioning it safely away from property or kind of greenery, so there's no risk of fire spread, and again, just making sure it's not left unattended.
And how can people make sure that they're safely disposing of their barbecues?
Yeah, we do see a rise of those in the summer, which is a really good point. So if once they've been finished, just making sure that they're completely cooled before they're disposed of will just completely eliminate that risk of a fire starting. So, yeah, the kind of any disposal of them completely cooled down before putting them into the bin.
Also, some fires have recently started due to glass paperweights and mirrors, with the sun reflecting off of them. How do you recommend that people avoid those kind of risks?
Yeah, we see a variety of incidents here in Kent Fire and Rescue. So across a variety of areas, we just ask people to stay safe. So things like objects, as you just described there, just making sure they're not in the way of any kind of windows, so there's no kind of sun reflection is our key advice. And along with all our other safety, and just to kind of, while we're talking about the warmer weather, with the warmer weather, we see sometimes people, it's quite an attraction to jump into what appears to be cool water, but it's actually it is actually, a lot colder than it can actually look. And beneath the surface, we obviously see there could be potential risks under there, tides, currents. So we just want to make sure that people stay safe and please be cautious around these kind of things this summer.
And do you have any general health advice for people to avoid things like sunstroke or heat exhaustion? Yeah,
what we would ask people is just to look out for your loved ones and your neighbours, and take that time to call in on them, just to make sure that they've got plenty of fluid to stay hydrated, they're keeping cool, and they've got all their essential items that they need. And let's have a really fun, safe summer, but look out for each other. That's our advice here at Kent Fire and Rescue.
Now, keeping that health advice for the hot weather in mind, let's take a look at the forecasts. Well, tonight looks like clear skies and warm weather, with temperatures hitting the high teens and some low wind speeds of 5 and 6 miles per hour. Then into tomorrow morning, temperatures averaging around 24 degrees with clouds scattered across the county. And in the afternoon, scorching highs of 30 degrees expected at the peak of the day, much of the same weather expected. Now for your outlook, highs of 27 on Sunday, some cloud coming in for Monday and Tuesday, and temperatures getting slightly lower to 23 and 24 degrees. Now, MPs in the House of Commons have today voted in favour of the assisted dying bill, passing it by a majority of 23 votes. The decision has sparked strong reactions across the country, particularly among those opposing the bill. During the heated debate in Parliament, some MPs raised serious ethical and practical concerns, including the impact on young people, individuals with eating disorders, and the possibility that the vulnerable, terminally ill patients could be offered assisted dying as an alternative to proper care. Others believed the bill could offer dignity in the final stages of life, as long as safeguarding is in place. The bill will now progress to the House of Lords for further debate before it's potentially passed. Tunbridge Wells MP Mike Martin, who voted in favour of the bill, spoke to us yesterday.
We need to just put to bed this idea that the bill hasn't had proper scrutiny. It has had the most enormous amount of parliamentary time and scrutiny. When we debated the principle back in several months ago at second reading, I voted for it then because I was happy for it to pass. I felt that it was broadly in the right place, but I knew that the heavy work would be done in committee and at the amendment stage, which is where we are now. And actually, reading both bills, the one that went into the committee and the one that came out of the committee, I think the safeguards have actually been strengthened.
Now, for the 2025 Kent Press and Broadcast Awards, KMTV submitted some of our best documentaries for the Kent Programme of the Year award. We didn't end up taking it home, but our special, Albania, Why Do We Go From Here, was highly commended. So, right after this, you can watch the full documentary, but first, here's a sneak peek of what you can expect.
Is it worth risking your life to come to the UK?
That's a $1 million question.
Independence Day rallies and protests have brought the Albanian community together.
Albania was closed to the rest of the world for 50 years.
In 2022, there were reports published that 12,000 to 13,000 Albanians were coming to the UK through illegal means. Why is that? I've arrived in Albania, somewhere I've loved visiting growing up, but this time I'll be talking to people about their lives, society, and why they want to leave.
Jemi një sprap, dhe më thonë dedi shumë dallë, ku në ngomone, fëmijë vegjël.
Po pse Angli? Ka edhe vende të tjera ku mund të bësh.
Sepse atje është Për hap domethënë është epicentra si ti thosh, këtyre drogës.
There are stories of people who come to the UK because of the life that is seen on social media, and organised criminal gangs use this to traffic young men to work in cannabis farms.
Sa herë ke provuar?
Diku te 10 herë kam provuar vetëm me dokument falso.
10 herë?
Por zorja ç'as bën më u largu.
Andra çdo 3 tash më largu. Nuk shef jetë tonë.
Tash unë që kam dalë edhe jam kthy shumë trive tjerë u them që mos ikni se ka mundësi, tash ka mundësi edhe Shqipëria.
I feel like I relearned everything that I previously knew.
You can watch that full documentary at 5:45 this evening. Now, you've been watching Kent Tonight live here on KMTV. There's more news made just for Kent throughout the evening, including our highly commended documentary, Albania, Why Do We Go From Here? All about investigating why people are still making the dangerous journey to the UK and uncovering why so many look for life elsewhere. But don't forget, you can always keep up to date with the latest news across your county by logging on to kmtv.co.uk. You can also keep us on your social timelines by liking us on Facebook and following us on TikTok. That's all from me for this evening. We'll see you very, very soon with more news from around the county. Bye-bye.
For the same page-turning experience as the newspaper. Download, share and print out the pages you want and tackle fun puzzles such as crosswords and Sudoku. Plus, unlock our extensive archive of past papers stretching back more than 10 years. Becoming a subscriber is easy. Visit kentonline.co.uk and click the subscribe tab at the top right of the screen. Choose the package that suits you with options to pay monthly or annually. Once you've signed up, check your email for a thank you message from us and details on how to get the most out of our subscription. Kent Online, news you can trust.
Hospital visits will be dramatically reduced.
And there's something about time in Imagining Autism. I call it a nowhere.
I completely adapted to being a hidden away rural homeless person. The system can't and doesn't cope with rural homelessness at all.
And I think that's a big barrier to young disabled people in terms of their aspirations and accessing science.
I think the eco-parakeet is a great symbol for what we should be doing on Mauritius, what we can do elsewhere in the world.
This is like a picture of me and my cousins when we was in Albania back to my nan's house.
Mirë, vëmë të keme me menu me menjen tonë edhe me pa momentin e dur që kur me ik edhe policisë.
The Kent Politics Show, live on KMTV. Join us every week with an array of guests.
I think the boundary changes have changed a great deal in Kent.
The Conservative administration have delivered the lowest council tax in Kent. We will continue to do that.
Discussing the things that matter most to you.
People do feel like they've been ignored by this government.
We do need something else to supplement wind and solar.
Catch the Kent Politics Show, only on KMTV.
Become a Kent Online subscriber for unlimited access to award-winning journalism from across the county. Browse the premium version of our website with no intrusive ads for uninterrupted scrolling on your desktop, mobile or tablet. Enjoy unrivaled coverage of news, sport and leisure in Kent, including content exclusive to subscribers. Read fascinating features in our in-depth section and head down memory lane by delving into our decades archive. Keep up to date with politics in Kent and Westminster and the latest on and off the field with our extensive sports coverage, including specialist Gills reporting. Enjoy weekly digital editions of all KM titles and swipe for the same